Good morning, YouTube. As always, hopefully you are all good and doing well. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what I've eaten over the last 20 odd weeks to lose over 12 kilos and go from this to this whilst working around the 9 to 5 and the office job, because I know that you are likely in the exact same position that I'm in that obviously you're getting into the gym and maybe you're a little bit chubbier than you want to be. You're sort of not seeing the fat loss that you're after. It's likely because of working around the office, not knowing exactly, say, what to be eating, say the structure of your meals and all of that sort of stuff. You likely struggle with, say, the social aspect within like being around work, all of like the office snacks, the fact that it's always someone's birthday. So in today's video, I'm going to show you, as I say, exactly what I've eaten and exactly how I go about navigating all that stuff so that you can see more fat loss, more progress in the gym, and ultimately you can see the differences that you're after in the mirror, because I know that probably for the last few months you've been trying to lose fat, not really be seeing any differences, waking up, looking in the mirror on Monday morning, looking the exact same. Now, before I do go through the meals themselves, one thing that I want to actually mention is the meals themselves are almost going to be irrelevant, because these meals work for me, and whatever is going to work for you is obviously going to be different. But the principles that I'm going to teach you within this video and the things that I'm going to go throughout in terms of, say, like the structure, navigating hunger, why each meal consists of each thing, they are all going to be applicable to you, and they are sort of the main things that I want you to almost take away from this video. With this video, there's also going to be in the description, there's going to be a full guide that sort of breaks things down in more detail specifically for you, so that you know exactly how to approach your nutrition around being in the office and around the 9 to 5, what to focus on with each meal, example meals, and everything that you need to actually lose fat and actually look like you go to the gym around the office job. Because as I say, obviously at the moment you're putting the effort in, not seeing the progress from doing so, and if you just head to the link in the description, you'll get the free guide that is really going to help you with your nutrition. Literally won't cost you a penny. All it's going to cost you is your email, and it will be the difference from you being frustrated and not seeing the progress that you're after to seeing progress like I have, where I've lost over 12 kilos, obviously look significantly better from the start to now. Now, I've just had my first meal of the day, which is my breakfast and also my pre-workout meal as well. And before I actually get into it, I wanted to say that I'm actually a very, very happy man this morning, because it's Wednesday the 20th of May and I'm an Arsenal fan, and Arsenal just won the league yesterday. So very happy this morning, even though I'm a little bit tired. But for my pre-workout meal, as I say, the meals themselves are almost irrelevant, but it's the principles within each meal that is sort of transferable to you and obviously useful to you. So with my pre-workout meal, it is cream of rice. It's 75 grams of cream of rice and then 1 scoop of Perform protein powder. I'll put the macros on screen for you so you can see exactly what they consist of, and I'll do that for each meal as well. But the purpose of this meal is, sometimes some people, like some of my clients for example, find that they don't really like to eat before training. Some people find that they do. For me, I find that if I don't eat before training, I'm far too hungry, and then therefore like my session's a little bit shit. So cream of rice works for me because it digests sort of like perfectly, like I don't feel sort of too heavy or anything like that, so I feel fine for my actual training session. But the main thing really is, obviously I've got to make it up, but the main thing is I just need something that's sort of like nice and convenient first thing in the morning. And from a meal perspective, it consists basically primarily and almost completely of protein and carbs, which for your breakfast is the main thing that you really want to be focusing on. The carbohydrates more from, say, like a sort of fueling side of things, in terms of when your body digests that, it's going to help you to have like more energy available, so it's going to be useful for your sessions and everything. But then from a protein side of things, it's mainly because, say, throughout the course of the night you've not obviously had any protein feedings, unless you've somehow been getting it through the air, which doesn't happen. And from a satiation point of view, over like having protein towards the start of the day and having more of it is massively beneficial for satiation, so feeling fuller for longer. It's one of the most important things that you need to be prioritizing within that first meal. I think if you prioritize those sort of two things to start with, you're not really going to go too far wrong, especially because within the next meal, what we're going to be sort of focusing on is also going to only help with satiation a little bit more. So I'm going to show you that very shortly. But firstly, I've got to get to the gym, train legs, then commute to work, and then I'll talk to you next. I'm now at work and looking a little bit more presentable for it as well. Please ignore my towel. I've just had to have a wash. I also feel much more awake, and there's a couple of things that I forgot to mention within the last bit of the video because I was half asleep. But firstly, one of the most useful things that you can do from a dieting perspective around being in the office, and just in general anyway, is pre-tracking your food and making sure that it is going to be fitting your macros, so like your protein, your carbs and your fats at the start of the day, or maybe even the evening before. I tell a lot of my clients to do it sort of like the evening before, so that you know exactly what it is that you're going to be having. You're not impulsive and you're not also on the back foot and you've already eaten your food, and you get to the end of the day and you're like, shit, I've got literally no calories to play with. Now in the guide that I mentioned earlier, you are also going to get exactly sort of like what your macros should look like, how to set them up based upon like your training and everything like that. And then the other thing was also just the general structure of your day. With working a 9 to 5, the fact that you're going to be working like from obviously 9 to 5, or I work 8:30 till 4:30, you are going to have like specific times in your day that you're going to be eating, and this structure is so beneficial to you. You need, like, you can keep it the same on the weekend so that you can just obviously have certain meals at certain time, but at certain times even. But for example, with myself, I will have my first meals at like 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. for like my pre-workout. My post-workout meal, which I'm going to show you very shortly, will then be at like, say, like 9:30 or 10. Then my lunch will be sort of like 2:30 till 3, and then my dinner is normally at like sort of 7 o'clock. But because I already have that pre-existing structure to my day, it is so easy to just be like, right, these are the specific times that I'm going to be eating, and I'm almost like not allowed to eat till then. You do feel hungry, like from now till say like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I am going to feel hungry, and then also in the middle of the day I'm also going to feel hungry as well. But my next meal is going to help me with hunger because it is protein overnight oats with a little bit of dark chocolate, some honey, and then obviously like protein powder and stuff like that. I'll show you all the ingredients and the macros for it on here now. And again, the whole purpose of this meal is there's a good amount of protein within there. There's like whole foods in the oats. The oats are also a little bit more fibrous as well, so that helps you to feel fuller for longer. The dark chocolate also really helps with sort of satiation as well. And genuinely, this is like one of my favorite meals of the day. I have eaten this every single day since losing fat. It is like my favorite meal that I have possibly. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, having protein and fats together earlier on in the day is so useful for satiation. And then around sort of like 10, half 10, on a training day, because I've woken up early, I typically will have like a Monster as well, so some caffeine. Again, caffeine is like a mild suppressant of appetite. It isn't like a massive thing, like it's not going to be like a huge game changer. However, I like the taste of Monster. I like to have them. The caffeine helps me to feel a little bit more awake and alert for work, so that is why I utilize those, and it can be something that is also useful to utilize. Good afternoon, YouTube. I've actually just commuted home. I'm done with the work day. I was planning on speaking to you when I was out for my lunchtime walk to tell you what my next meal was, but today's been a little bit of a different day because we had meetings and we had people in the office, so I didn't actually get an opportunity to really go for a walk today, which is a little bit annoying because I'm lower on the step side of things. But before I go through the next meal and show you exactly what that is, one thing that I wanted to discuss with you is in the office, it is very easy to be like a sheep when everyone else is there. In my office in particular, there's always sort of snacks like just sort of lying around the place. It's say like someone's birthday, there's always some sort of celebration. Sometimes we'll get like food in as like a sort of bit of a social thing, and it does take a lot of effort and a lot of willpower to sort of be there and not be almost a sheep and do the exact same as everyone else. However, you need to keep in mind sort of like the position that you're in, the position that you want to be in, and almost view making these sort of good decisions as part of the process, and unfortunately something that you do have to do in terms of like sacrificing and stuff like that, but it is all worth it to end up looking how you want to look by the end of it. And as I say, like whilst everyone else is having it, everyone else doesn't want to like look how you want to look, and they're not the people that are like say unhappy with their physique or trying to see like progress in the gym and stuff. So you can't go and make the same decisions as everyone else who doesn't look how you want to look and then obviously expects to do so. But having said that, in terms of today's nutrition, one thing that I also do, so I have my Monster, like my caffeine, for a little bit of a, as I say, as a bit of a boost, and also something obviously like nice to be having. But then equally, I will find that when I get to around sort of like 1 p.m, I am really quite hungry. So what I tend to have is like a soft drink, like a non-sugar soft drink that I can have that just helps to give me like a little bit of a taste of something that is sweet, helps to remove some say like cravings and everything like that. And as I say, you are going to be hungry throughout this process, but leaning into hunger and reframing hunger as part of the sort of like vehicle that is getting you towards where you want to be is very useful. From a food side of things, what I actually had is, this has been sort of like my staple throughout the whole thing, is 250 grams worth of chicken mince, some sweet corn,
some veg, and then also I have a decent amount of like salt within there as well. Now what you would have noticed with each meal throughout the course of today is that every single meal has been based around a protein source of some sort. In terms of protein powder for the first two, now I've had obviously chicken mince, and they've also all been whole foods. And one thing is around what I've noticed about sort of like working in an office is a lot of people can't be asked to say like meal prep, take sort of like meal deals with them, or like really small meals, and then wonder why they're hungry. And in reality, you can actually eat quite a lot of food volume and a lot of like decent food as well if you are prioritizing whole foods like I do throughout the course of today. Like, as I say, of course I feel hungry, but through managing things as I do, I feel less hungry than I potentially would do. I have a decent amount of veg with this meal to not only sort of bulk the food up, but also improve digestion significantly as well, because when you are eating less food, one thing that can happen is like your digestion is really negatively impacted, and then therefore you obviously don't go to the toilet as much, and then therefore you're not sure how much sort of actual weight loss or fat loss you're seeing, because your weight loss is actually masked by the fact that you're not able to go to the toilet properly, which I know obviously isn't the most fun thing in the whole wide world to talk about.
It is time for the last meal of the working day, and this is sort of my main meal of the day and my only sort of like fresh cooked meal, because all my other ones are prepped already, such as like my chicken mince, as I mentioned. And as I mentioned as well, with working in the office, you need to make sure that like things like meal deals and everything like that are all well and good, but they're not realistically going to get you to where you want to be. My last meal of the day is fillet of salmon, some mushrooms, some broccoli, and then 3 rice cakes as well. Now at the moment, I am basically on sort of like poverty calories with my diet, so my calories are pretty much the lowest that they're going to be, and because they are really low, I'm not really able to have like a full carb source like potato or rice or whatever. Really, I'm just having rice cakes because these are about 150 calories. But I'll put the calories and macros and everything like that on screen. My ending calories are around about sort of 2,000. My protein is like 200 grams. Carbs are like 175-ish, and then fats are around about sort of 60 grams for the whole day. So as I mentioned at like the start of this video, is that these meals are pretty much the meals that I've been having on repeat. So my pre-workout meal, my post-workout meal, and my lunch are pretty much like constant features because they just work well for me. Finding what works best for you is obviously going to be what is best for you. So sometimes if you find that maybe you don't like eating first thing in the morning, you can maybe have something small, maybe skip breakfast and just make sure that you're hydrated for your session, and have more food sort of post-workout when you get into work or something like that. As I say, this is obviously what works for me. And then with my dinners, I like to have a few options that I can choose from. So this is sort of like one of my go-tos at the moment, but I also have, say, like sometimes I'll have like tortillas with like chicken, some reduced fat cheese, and some like peppers, sweet corn, and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes I'll have steak, sometimes I'll have a lamb steak. There's lots of different options for my dinners, but they're all in line with basically being sort of like still on my diet. And I think that it's good to have something within the day that is a little bit less sort of structured, because it's something that I look forward to and it isn't the same as everything else. So that is exactly how I go through all of my nutrition, with obviously working in an office 9 to 5, and also trying to sort of lose fat at the same time and actually look like I go to the gym. As I mentioned, the free guide that you need in terms of to help you with your nutrition is going to be in the description, so you can access that. If you've got any questions or any comments or anything like that, please leave those in the comment section. Like and subscribe if you found this useful for future content around being in the office, and obviously helping you get into the best shape around being in the office and actually looking like you go to the gym. And also follow me on Instagram via the link in the description as well, because I am specifically here to help people like you who are in the same situation that I am, and they work a 9 to 5 job and ultimately want to look the best that they can in the mirror. My mushrooms are going to be cold, so I'm going to go now. Adios and hasta luego.